A video on these domain ones, 9 through 11 here. Basically, you got to look at what you can't have. Remember, domain is all of the x values that will produce a y value on the graph or in the function, where the function's defined. So when we look here, there's a lot of numbers we can plug in for x, right? A lot of numbers we can plug in, but I want you to know that this bottom here is not allowed to be 0. So basically, x squared minus 4, that cannot be 0. So if you can just think about those two values here, x squared cannot be 4. The two values we cannot have are plus or minus 2. All right, so the idea here is that those are the things you cannot have. So the domain here for number 9 is going to be negative infinity all the way up to that first value of negative 2, union negative 2 to 2, everything works in between those two, and everything works to the right of positive 2. Okay, so there's our domain of what does work. When you look in here, most of the time we're thinking, oh, in these radicals you cannot have negative, which is absolutely right. So our first thought here has to be 6x squared plus 1 has to be greater than or equal to 0. Well, once we subtract 1 from both sides, you're going to see 6x squared is greater than or equal to negative 1. And if you can't see it right now, just divide both sides by 6. And I just want you to see here that we're coming up with this. Well, here's the deal. X squared, any x value you put in there, positive or negative, when you square it, it is going to be positive. So we will be greater than, negative 1/6 here. So basically, this is telling us that everything for x will work. There's no way, and if you look back here, if you put in anything for x and square it, times 6 plus 1, you will always get a positive value. So there is no restriction on this one as far as the x values go, because it's going to work out just fine. So the domain then would be everything, all real numbers. All right, and then the last one here, a little tricky. Look at the top. You got a top and a bottom one here. Well, first of all, the x cannot be 0. That's from the easy one. That's from the bottom, the denominator here. We are not allowed to have 0 in the denominator, okay? But there's another issue. 0 is okay up top, but we need to think about that radical. So x plus 4 has to be greater than or equal to 0. Well, when you solve this, you get x is greater than or equal to negative 4. Okay, so what we're saying on the top is that every number bigger than or equal to negative 4 will work, but on the bottom we're saying, wait, 0 doesn't work, so it's going to be a little different. We're going to say negative 4, not to infinity like this one would say, but all the way up to 0, because we can't have 0 according to the denominator, but we can have everything to the right of 0, so 0 to infinity there. Okay?